record. All right, officially welcome to our webinar, and we'll be talking today about security of the Magento, and not just about the Magento. I want to welcome our awesome guests, Ankit and Ujwal from getastra.com, who will be sharing awesome techniques about the hacking, a little bit more like technical for the developers. But I know that they're probably also merchants who's watching our webinar, or maybe in the real time get into the session. So we'll be splitting this webinar about like two topics. One is a little bit more generic, and then we dive deep about the security with the awesome guys from the Astra. So Ankit as well, welcome. Thank you for getting the time. I know it's late over there, so thank you for being our guest.
Thank you, Paul. Thanks a lot for having us over here. We're really excited to come join the people over here community and like help in whatever way we can. So security is something that we guys breathe at Astra. So it's never late to talk about security. You wake me up at 3 a.m. in the morning and I'll just talk security. And I think same is true with Ankit.
All right. So what's the reason in general, why we're all so care about the security? You probably, if you're a developer, you're probably going through the posts on LinkedIn, etc., and Twitter, and there's a bunch of the stuff happening. We as a company, we're also getting a lot of merchants who's affected by the security stuff. Just right now on May 8th, like 1 week ago, we've got the customer who eventually get hacked, and there's other exploits happen over here and there, about a lot of like noise in general. So I want to kind of provide a little bit more background before we get started into the like a very deep conversation. So in general, basically there's a very specific rule. Try to upgrade your website with the most recent security patches as often as possible, right? So I want to make sure that for the merchants that we have here on the call, guys, you have to deeply watch the two sections. Basically, there is a Adobe security section, which a lot of information about the security, like updated patches. Magento just recently migrated all of the security topics to Adobe. But you can still, if you go still to the magento.com security, you will see quite a bit of information about, releases, the patches, and the best practices, etc., etc. Depends on the patch. There's a different techniques that needs to be implemented on Magento. So you probably have to go with the dev guys to install them all. One of the tools that I highly recommend to use for the merchants, at least you can register with the Magento account, and you can verify your website and verify your store, and be able to utilize the native Magento tool to monitor your security, right? And keep this on automated basis. If you are just going into if you're just starting with that, probably my also recommendation would be just to utilize some extra tools. I know the getastra have awesome tools for the like a one-time check for the website. You can also pretty much utilize magereport.com to scan your website and see if there's any like outdated patches and stuff like that. So you will be like, if you will be doing that, you'll be eventually like surprised about the patches. From our experience, installing like different patches, that's probably like it's not an easy task. So when we applying the patches, normally you're not just applying or updating Magento version. It's not just a simple update the Magento core, but you probably have to work with the other developers and vendors to update all of the extensions and stuff like that. One of the things that I want to highlight is sometimes about those updates from Magento. Sometimes it happens then, even Magento release patches that's eventually like might have like a security flaw. So please, like when you're applying that, make sure that you still, even you apply it, you're still kind of following the conversation that's going around this patch. Like for example, just recently, Magento released one of the patch with some issues with the admin, with changes of the admin permission, and then they immediately released, like in a couple of days, they released a second version. So like if you just install the security patches, it does not mean that you are protected like 100%. You have to always watch like for the real-time updates. So another stuff that I want to highlight. I mean, let's imagine how you can easily identify that something is going wrong within your account. If you just log into Magento, it does not matter if it's Magento 1 or Magento 2. If you go to the customer section, you might be able to see there are some like a strange registrations coming in from like a different sources, like a Chinese symbols. There could be some from Russia, etc. Beside from the real accounts, sometimes they even might be looking like a legit, you know, but like with the numbers. Sometimes they even have like the same stuff in the first name and the last name. So in that particular case, what happened is like there is they still kind of utilizing like a legit probably email address that belongs to the person that actually exists. So but then, you know, if there's a if there's a user confirmation email, this person might not even recognize your brand. So that's why you have to kind of watch this pretty closely. You also have to watch the reviews section. A lot of like bots coming to the Magento websites, and they're kind of submitting the data about like a porn, like non-related stuff. A lot of coming from the Russian, you know, domains. Also, one of the stuff that I want to you know, highlight as well. Sometimes you are getting like a lot of subscribers, but what might happen is those subscribers, they're not even that's kind of looks like a pretty legit emails, but they might not be actually the people who eventually subscribe to the newsletter. Those subscription might be caused by the bots stuff. So basically, this is kind of very easy for you to verify. It's a if you guys under the certain attack or under certain hacking activities or the bot activities within their store. Basically, inside of the Magento, like Magento release new versions when they originally have a capture. The old version 2.1, 2.2, they actually had a capture in place that was, you know, that was not as secure as it needs to be. So basically, even you activated, I've got the clients who activated the default capture, and then they still were affected by those submissions. With the new version, like starting from Magento 2.3, that's a little bit better. But if you are still utilizing 2.1, 2.2, and we still have a lot of businesses utilizing those that platform, even it's Magento outdated. With Magento 2.1, 2.2, we recommend you to install invisible capture just to protect this basic stuff. Let me go through pretty quick like configuration inside of the Magento that you have to do at least, right, to get started. So first of all, you have to, you know, make sure that your entire website is SSL secure, right? So please, you know, there is a bunch of the free SSL certificate, and if you will be utilizing Cloudflare, it goes with the SSL as well. So basically, SSL as a secure, it's the #1 stuff that you wanna introduce for your visitors. I mean, I know it's a pretty generic term, but I mean, I'm still getting a lot of businesses who's coming to me and asking to analyze the website, and they just don't really understand. Like basically, even for Google, from SEO wise, Google required, you know, the entire website to be HTTPS protected. The only stuff that I want to highlight in that is when you will be doing like a switch between HTTP and HTTPS, please make sure that you always have like a 301 redirect, and you can utilize redirectcheck.com to make sure that all of your pages will be correctly redirected to its own version with the HTTPS. So that's kind of a one mark about that. So basically, if you go to the web base URL, from our side, we actually updating all this information, even base URL, we're putting like HTTPS as a default. So we're not really, from our as agency's point of view, we're not really splitting like a base and secure URLs. This is for sure something that you wanna implement. Another stuff, it's for sure that you wanna change admin-based URL. So for instance, if you go to advanced admin, I might be still missing our so admin base URL. Eventually, you want to protect like change from default like admin URL to something else. So this is something that I highly recommend to implement. At least that's what gives you a little bit more extra security protection, right? The next stuff that I highly recommend you to look into, it's the security section. There is like a new, I think it's starting from 2.3. There is an enabled two-factor authorization when you can utilize, Google just to verify was the two-factor code to be generated by the app. Again, I understand that might be a little bit tricky for the new merchants, or maybe when you have a big teams, etc. But end of the day, a lot of exploits and hacking happen when the person actually get the access to Magento admin account. So protecting that one might be like one of the stuff that can be easily implemented without diving too deep into the security levels. So also about, like I just mentioned, about the invisible capture. So configuration of the Google invisible capture is something that you want to implement for the back end, for the front end as well. And definitely also, I will like one of their easiest way to protect your admin panel is just by utilizing either whitelisted IP address. So for instance, when you just telling on the server level, you're protecting admin panel to be accessible only from the certain IP address, or like in our case, sometimes we're protecting that with username and password. Like basically, if even before the Magento will run, server itself will verify username and password in general, right? So this is htaccess authorization that can be implemented. There still might be issues if you're utilizing like a third-party platforms that utilizing Magento admin with username and password to be connected. It still might be an issue. So before you do it on the live store, please make sure there is no third-party components that will be connected. In terms of kind of development standpoint, right? So you're probably utilizing any sort of GitLab or GitHub account. So probably checking about like a random website modifications that was done, on the server level. That's might be helpful for you. But definitely have to select secure hosting. I mean, probably guys from Astra will explain a little bit more on that one. And we'll have to set up correct file permissions and stuff like that. I wanna share a couple of things that we personally were involved about, like hacking. So one of the stuff that will be nice to install on the server level is just to, and by the way, a lot of hacks happen through the modules, not through the Magento core, but through the modules that will be installed on the system. So installing sort of scanning tool on your server to scan like different extensions might be a good fit, and that's kind of will at least prevent you from using out-of-dated modules. We've got a lot of issues with the hacking when the certain script was added inside of the Magento admin panel, specifically in the head or the footer section, right? So basically watch out for those as well. It's again, so this is something that even merchants can go in and check if everything is good or not. One of the big stuff that happened once, and we spent quite a bit of time fixing that, that happens on the Magento 1 platform, when the issue was not even on the server, but it was inside of the MySQL database. So basically they've got like the stored procedure inside of the MySQL, which automatically, when you update like a table, it's automatically execute the stuff and push the vulnerability code into the system. I mean, we actually, like with that particular case, we were using like everything possible. We were using the entire website was behind Sukuri, and basically like we like until we figure out where it's coming from, we spent quite a bit of time. So another thing that I want to highlight is in terms of security. you probably wanna utilize two things. And again, like maybe I don't want this webinar to be promotions, but like we've just discovered a big spike. For most of my clients, were utilizing Cloudflare as a CDN platform, but over here you can also configure different firewall rules when you can protect like a certain URLs, when you can protect your website against like different activities and access, you know, from the different countries. Like for instance, but just keep in mind, if you're doing that, please keep like the Google bots and Bing bots, you know, and like sometimes we're blocking like China or Russia. So that's kind of by default what we are doing. And eventually I want to like even highlight here, like this is one of the website that we you know that we support in general, but like you will see over here, like it was just fine, and then suddenly at some point there's a lot of hits, etc., from the bots, which is also, you know, causing some issues. So basically utilizing Cloudflare in sort of Sukuri might help you to also a little bit at least get, you know, be notified ahead of time about any sort of security tactics. So that's kind of in general like overview about you know, how you can find out some issues directly in the Magento admin, what exactly you should change there, and kind of things to watch out. And I probably will go ahead and pass this over to the Astra guys, and we will just dive deep from the information about the security topics. Right, guys, you ready?
Yep. Thank you so much, Paul, for like such great information and having me over to speak about Magento security in general with the community. So great. So hi everyone, my name is Ankit. I'm a software engineer turned security evangelist, and now I secure Magento stores for food because I believe hungry security researchers are the best. So I'll just start with the security topics that I'll be covering in our discussion. So moving forward, I'll be talking about, once again, yeah. So moving forward, I'll be talking about why would someone hack your store, or how would someone hack your store, or different security attacks and their symptoms, and what are the best security practices for your Magento stores. And when concluding, Ujjwal will share a surprise with all of you. Great. So I'll just start, and you must be wondering, why would anyone hack your store, right? So if you are a small business owner, so you must be thinking, why would a hacker have interest in my store? Because I'm a small business owner, right? So this is to remove all the myths, and I'll exactly tell you few reasons of why would anyone hack your Magento store. So one is to steal or leak your information. With this, I mean both your customer's information and a hacker accessing your confidential assets. A hacker would hack your store for your customer information, which could be a usual information leak consisting of name, email addresses, phone numbers, which is all your customers' personal information, and eventually to extract your customer's credit card information. Then obviously a hacker shall hack to access all your confidential assets on the server. So this was one reason of why someone would hack your Magento store. So second reason is SEO hijacking. So everyone loves Google because it sends us a lot of organic traffic which brings us sales. If I was to tell you that a bad guy would insert spam characters and meta information for each of your indexed pages in Google, and your website in search results start to look something like this, as in the image. So these are Japanese characters in the SEO meta information for this site. Hackers can choose to insert any unknown or spam characters that are not understood by your visitors or customers. With this hack, not only businesses lose their traffic and sales, but it blackens the store's brand image, and eventually visitors and customers lose their trust in the brand. Somebody who doesn't necessarily like your business, would do that to your site or store. So there are other reasons which are as follows. So monetary benefit, hacker sends emails asking for ransom, and in turn, they'll give you information about the vulnerability that they have found in your infrastructure. Another is hacktivism and boredom. I think this reason is the most dangerous compared to all others that I mentioned, because someone doing this out of boredom or just because he likes to hack, then it might be the case that he'll never stop. Another reason, to infect your website visitors. So a hacker would do this to steal your visitors' session information, cookie information, because of some underlying vulnerability on your website. Another reason a hacker would hack your store would be for cryptojacking. So this reason shall comply with owners of stores with high traffic. A hacker necessarily inserts malware on your site that tries to mine cryptocurrency for your visitor's computational engine. For whatever time a visitor spends on your site, a hacker mines cryptocurrency using your visitor's computational engine. Okay, so before I move to next section in our conversation where I'll tell you about how would someone hack your Magento store, the reasons I discussed on why anyone would hack your store are not theoretical, and we see these scenarios on daily basis. Okay, so let's continue with how would anyone hack your Magento store. So hackers activity is broadly categorized in a three-step process. First is reconnaissance, where they do all the information gathering. Second is scanning, where they scan through your entire infrastructure to find loopholes, or technically we call them vulnerabilities. Then they try and access or exploit into your store, where they hack or keep your store compromised. So I have a quick graphic to show where I'll discuss all these phases in detail. Reconnaissance. So this is the first phase when a hacker tries to gather all possible information about your infrastructure. So when he tries to collect information about your business, then he'll look for your server technologies and their versions, your store technology and different frameworks that you're using, or he'll try and find all extensions and their versions that you use, or even he'll try and find key people in your business, either a developer or someone whom he could attack via social engineering. Then there's this active and passive reconnaissance. So active reconnaissance is when this bad guy directly interacts with the target, and the target could be either your server, extensions, or all other things I discussed above. Passive reconnaissance is when a hacker tries to gather information without interacting with target directly, but he would find information using social signals, forums, community groups, and more. So second phase is the hackers in the hacker's journey scanning. He shall look for ports that are open on your server, check for different services that are running on the server, check which server technology you're using, either it be Nginx or Apache, then what versions are you on, then he might check what extensions you are using and their versions. And if there are publicly listed vulnerabilities for any of your server technology, open ports, or your Magento extension, so with all these listed vulnerabilities, he'll start to exploit them, which is again phase 3 in hackers process. So in phase 3, hackers aim is to get into your system. First, he'll try to gain access to your Magento store. He'll exploit using vulnerability payloads for all the vulnerabilities he has collected in the second phase of hacking. A hacker's aim is to keep your site compromised. Okay, so even if you have removed the malware or fixed the vulnerability, for that he would insert a backdoor on your infrastructure, which could either be Trojans, rootkits, or false file managers, or any other malicious files. One thing that developers usually can do is to look at the log files to identify hackers' activity in cases of any hack incidents. But trust me, guys, some hackers are really smart where they erase all their traces and even delete log files to hide their presence. Whoa, that entirely looked like a comprehensive process, and it somehow looked that hackers got their signs right. Right? So jokes apart, so far we have seen why and how would anyone hack your store. So in this section of our conversation, I'll talk about 3 most frequent security attacks that we have seen in 5 or more years of experience in security. So first is website redirection, second is price manipulation, third is credit card hack, and I'll talk about all these security attacks with the symptoms. Let's start with website redirection hack. So when a store is infected with malware and your store starts to redirect users or your visitors or customers to unknown and malicious sites, these could be Viagra stores, pharma stores, porn sites, or simply malicious marketing pages or any other questionable sites. So here I have a small demo of this hack. This happened to a site where every visitor of the site on visiting the site was redirected to a malicious site. So as you would see in the video, I'll just play the video for you. So as and when somebody tries to get into the site, he gets to the site and eventually gets redirected, right? So this is some unknown unrestricted page. So this happens in a website redirection hack. Okay, so moving over to website redirection symptoms. You must be thinking that the only symptom could be of website redirection, right? I mean, the website redirects, right? Yes, you're correct. But I'll dig a little deeper and let you know where in your store you can see malicious redirection symptoms. First, it's simple. It's on the page view, right? So it could be your home page, your product page, or your hot landing pages. So a user or visitor visits say the hot landing page and he gets redirected to some malicious sites. Next could be, any button click or image CTAs. So these will be important call to actions on your site, either on product pages or landing pages. And when a user clicks on them, they get redirected to a malicious site again. Next symptom could be a hacker can put malicious redirections only on organic traffic. That too for unique clicks or even unique sessions. Or maybe you are on a mobile device and then only you get redirected. If you are from your desktop environment, then you'll not get redirected to a malicious page. So these granular levels of redirections are those that a hacker can place. So this makes it very difficult for you as a store owner to identify redirection hacks. Okay, so next is very rare, and I found it recently in the previous security audit that I did. Was there were redirections only on the FAQ section. So frequently asked questions sections are usually there in stores product pages. So there were redirections to malicious pages. Yeah, I mean, that's why I say some hackers are damn smart, but we are on a mission to make store owners the smartest, and hence we are somehow a step ahead. Great. So next security attack that we'll talk about is price manipulation. So this is when a hacker tries to manipulate the price of a product or products when proceeding to checkout. Here's a small demo for the same. I'll just play the video and explain what happens actually. So there's a product, amounting to $434. So what a hacker would do, he'll just intercept the request. He'll just check out, and in the request, he'll manipulate few values. So he'll change the product amount from $434 to some 4 unit, and he'll also change the currency from USD to INR. So that is not even a dollar, right? So when you'll go to the checkout page, when payments are being confirmed, so you'll see that the amount is 0.07 USD. As I said, not even a dollar. So for a product that was supposed to be, more than $434 and shipping cost was getting delivered only for $24 and some cents because of the hack or because of the vulnerability in the system, right? So symptoms for price manipulation are straight. So you'll start to lose money as and when you're hacked. So if I say that, you'll start to lose money on every product that you ship. In the past, we have seen hackers withdraw some portions of product amounts to their bank accounts, and you receive less amount than the actual money for a product that you shipped. So if the hacker's amount is in cents, So he choose to take, the whenever he hacks and he choose to take amount in cents, then it might be possible that this hack does not even come to your knowledge, and you would have already lost thousands of dollars in revenue when you understand that your site was hacked. Okay, so next is credit card hack. Sadly, I'll not show you any demo for it because the demo will itself reveal credit cards of the users, and ethically I can't do that. So essentially, credit card information leak is because of underlying vulnerabilities in our system. So every vulnerability that I have talked so far, or every time a hacker has access to either file systems or database, then credit card hack happens. So when this happens, I mean, what are the symptoms that you'll see as a store owner, or what will people tell you? So there'll be visitors or developers or customers telling you that, there are errors while your visitor or customer is trying to purchase items in the store, or there are unknown pop-ups and messages on the store, or checkout processes takes a lot of time, right? So your server logs show brute force and SQL injection attempts. So when you check out your logs, you'll see, a lot of brute force and resource consumption. Or your customers starts to complain that their credit card has been used to make unknown payments. So credit card hack will only take place if a hacker somehow gets access to either your core files or your file system or your database. So we need to ensure both your database and file systems are seamlessly secure. Great. Okay. I mean, a lot has been talked about whys, hows, and different security attacks. In this section of our discussion, I'll talk about best security practices as we suggest them to Magento developers or store owners. From our 3-level security framework, few are our suggestions for basic security, which helps in making your store's security rock solid. Okay. So few of them would be a few things that Paul would have talked about. Like, it's always advised to change /admin URL to something that is not easily found and which is not easy to guess. I advise you to enforce two-step verification in your login process. I think it should be at least must for people in your team or who are higher in your role-based access control table. Okay. It is always advisable to ensure that you have a strong password policy for both your /admin accounts and visitors accounts, and you should enforce usage of strong passwords. Also, I advise you to have a feature around limiting login attempts on your Magento store. It is basically the number of times one can enter a wrong password, else his account gets blocked for some time. I advise you to implement CAPTCHA on all kinds of forms on your site as it stops spam activity site-wide. Next is to set correct Magento file permissions. This might sound basic, but it is equally important. Moving a little away from our 3-level security framework, as I want to give you a little more. And these are best security practices you should adopt in order to attain rock solid security for your Magento store. You need to update missing security patches as and when a security patch is rolled out publicly. So you can keep checking for a missing security patch on magereport.com. I say this all the time, that Magento is good, and with available extensions, it makes Magento a popular choice for e-commerce businesses. But sadly, extensions make the entire ecosystem vulnerable. So with this, I suggest you that you should use a secure Magento extension. Another great security practice that you should adopt is to block irrelevant traffic on your site. Suppose you have your business in the US and you ship only in the US, then why would you want to entertain traffic from China? Using IP blacklisting is your best bet in that case. Not only it will reduce resource consumption, but it will also eradicate bad bots activity on your store. So there are another set of attacks that are real time, like DDoS. So it stands for the distributed denial of service, where botnets around the world try to interrupt your service and in turn make your store unavailable for your visitors. For attacks like these, you'll need to run a 24/7 application layer security, which comes as a web application firewall that protects your system from real-time attacks. And sadly, there cannot be alternatives to a WAF in case of real-time attacks. So I talked about a lot of security attacks, starting from Japanese SEO spam or the SEO hijacking I talked about, then website redirection, price manipulation, code injection, bad bot attacks, and other business logic errors. In order to stop these, you'll have to get a comprehensive security audit that tests for almost all possible security attacks on your infrastructure. One best advice that I would give you today is to become security conscious. If you want to do business in 2020 and beyond, you'll have to become security conscious, as hackers are on a rise. Somehow you are already security conscious because you managed to join a webinar on Magento security. Congratulations on that. So because of little space on the screen, I could not share all security mechanisms and practices because it would take another hour maybe. Therefore, to get a copy of my go-to security checklist, you can simply download it using this link. So you can browse through the checklist and read other security mechanisms that shall help you attain rock solid security. So you can simply, download the checklist here at astra.sh/magento-checklist. Okay, so I'll still be on the call in case you have doubts. Feel free to ask them in the chat, and I'll let Ujjwal take this forward and share the surprise with you guys. Over to you, Ujjwal.
Whoa, that was a lot of information. I think all of you, thank you. First of all, thank you, Ankit, for explaining about all those attacks. Another thing that I would want your help on is if you could stop sharing your screen so that I could do mine.
Sure, I've done that.
Cool. Thank you. Okay, cool. Hello, everyone. I am Ujjwal. As Ankit told you, Ankit is the security researcher at Astra who works for food. I am the one who ensures that Ankit gets enough stores to secure so that his food is secure. So Ankit, thank you for telling all those amazing things, explaining about all the attacks and also telling about solutions to all of those. I saw some repeated patterns. I saw something that even Paul talked about and something that even Ankit talked about. So that tells us the importance of most of these things. And there was a ton of information that both of you guys gave, Paul and Ankit. And it's very easy for all of us to, get overwhelmed by such huge information pile. As a Magento store owner or a developer or an agency owner, you already have tons of things on your plate. You have to build a fast, functional, and fascinating store. Sometimes this is what we have seen is that because of all of these things, security takes a backseat. Even though security is the most important thing, it actually ensures that all the other efforts that you do never go in vain. So you may spend like a huge amount of your time, effort, and money on SEO, but one hack and all of that is gone, as Ankit just told and showed even a demo about. So it just takes one hack to make sure that 1 year of your SEO effort or that thousands of dollars that you put in your SEO just go in vain. And frankly, with all the information that we've just got and we've like getting questions also around, most of them I've answered a lot of them that I could. I will take all of them after this. It does feel like a bit overwhelming and it does feel a lot to do. And it is actually a lot to do, but the good part is that it is not a lot to do for you. This is where the power of Magento comes in. This is where the power of community gives you an advantage. Magento extensions is the result of this vibrant community. And sadly, even the extensions make it a bit vulnerable, as Ankit told. But with all other extensions that you use, make sure that you don't miss out on the most important ones. Make sure that you don't miss out on security extension. And I'll be walking you through the only security extension that your store will ever need, which is Astra, which is the Astra Security Suite. So Astra essentially includes a few major security tools for a website along with other small, great to have security tools. So it includes a web application firewall that protects your website 24/7 from over 100 different type of attacks, including the credit card stealing malware that Ankit just talked about, and also bad bots. I see one question around Bing bots, Bing fake bots. So all those things are something that Astra takes care of. This is how the dashboard looks like. It does not cram information. It does not tell you, it does not feel like a cockpit of an aeroplane. It just is a nice, simple, clean dashboard that gives you views of all the attacks that Astra stopped, the countries where the attacks came from, if your store is blacklisted by say Google or not, and on any other engine. So it tells you all of that. It tells you what were the most attacked areas of your website. And if you want to go into detail of each attack, this is a place that your devs would love. They can just click on each attack. They will know that, hey, this attack came from someone in United States using a Windows laptop, Chrome browser. It was an XSS attack. It was stopped by Astra. This was the place. This was the attack URL, and this was the attack vector. Now, there are tons of action that you can take. You can either trust this IP, block this IP, trust the country or block the country. Or you may think that, hey, you know what, I need to whitelist this attack URL. So these are the things that gives your developer a feeling of control over what they're doing. And one thing that I picked up from Paul and Ankit both was that block a country where you don't have a business in and you're getting a lot of attacks from, right? Blocking a country is as easy as clicking a button. So you just write a country name, say either trust it or block it, and boom, you're done. That's it. The malware scanner. So what this does is it scans your file system for any possible malicious code or file, flags all the suspicious files, and gives you the option to delete it right from the dashboard. This malware scanner, like Magento, leverages the power of community. It is running on thousands of stores across the globe, right? So one malware across the world, anywhere you're sitting in US, there's one malware in any store in say Japan, and Astra is running over there. It passes on the intelligence to your store. So your store is always up to is always the fastest when it comes to security. Is always 2 steps ahead of the bad guys out there. You can schedule, like you'll see an option to schedule scans. You can schedule daily, weekly, or monthly scans, and it will scan your website without ever adding any server load. There's also a section of login protection that tells you who was able to log in your website, blocks brute force attempts that we just talked about. That is also really important. And there's one more part which Ankit, while leaving over, talked about, which was the security audits, and I cannot talk more about it. Imagine again the $474 product being bought in for pennies, like not even cents. Like it was bought for $0.07. So I don't even know, I can't stress more on that. He displayed it in action. And usually if you guys have an experience of getting a security audit done, or a lot of people call it VAPT, vulnerability assessment and penetration testing, the way people do it is using ugly PDF or Excel reports. And that is something which we hate, because what it does, you will send out your store, like you will get a security researcher, they'll create a huge PDF report of like 400 pages wherein they have all the results of all the automated tools and send that to you, and then you spend next 6 months of your life just going to and fro over emails. That email thread becomes 500 emails long and you just don't know what to do, and the vulnerabilities stay there. You lose time, you lose money, you lose effort, and you gain frustration. That's all. So what we've done with that is we've created a product out of it. We've created this nice looking dashboard for a security audit where you see all the issues that the security researchers identify, sorted by the criticality. So you'll see all the issues over here with the criticality, so that you can choose to focus on the ones which are critical right now. Now, there are all the issues, but the thing is that probably your devs are not of some security practices, right? So these are the issues, but how to solve them? This is what devs will love. So they can just click on any issue. It'll give you details of all the so for example, I'll go into this issue. It says it's a critical issue. It's a cross-site request forgery. It's a CSRF that can be used to change a customer's password. What it'll do is it'll tell you what CSRF is. it'll tell you all the affected URLs, and then it'll give you steps to reproduce, like proof of concept, saying, what, do this. It'll give you a video, it'll say, just see this video, you will see how to reproduce this, and you will know how I can actually change password of a customer. With that, we also give you steps to fix, saying, hey, these are the 7 detailed steps that you can take. And you know what, this, if you have any other question, you can comment on the issue right there and then, and collaborate with the security researcher without the need of writing huge emails and finding solutions in those email threads. Cool. Now with the firewall security audit and the malware scanner, this is something that will ensure a watertight security for your store. And I don't want to, like as Paul said, I don't want to like make it a sales pitch. It's very easy for me to go into that flow. But what I want to do is that I now want, because I've given you a glimpse of Astra, I now want you guys to experience it for yourself. And coming to the surprise that I think Paul would have talked about, right, Paul? So Paul recently experienced Astra and he really loved it. We don't usually do like a trial, but we couldn't help offer like one for you guys, because we could talk about all of this whole day. We could talk about how you could do certain things, but all of us know that there are still some things that we will miss. And as a store owner, that is the last thing that you want. You don't want your store to be open to hackers. You on your physical store, you use a lock, right? It's time to add a lock onto your e-store. So what you need to do to experience Astra for yourself, I'm offering, like over here, you'll see like a coupon code to get like a 1-month trial of Astra, so that you would know how a secure store feels like. You would know how going to sleep at night feels like, knowing that your store is secure from all the bad guys out there. And there are a lot of them. Like, let me tell you, there are tons of them. So what you need to do is just go to this link over here, astra.sh/MageCloud, create an account and use the coupon code Astra loves MageCloud, and that's about it. You'll get your free trial. We'll make sure that this coupon code is valid for like next 24 hours. So go out there. I'll also give these instructions in the chat section below, so that you know what to do and you know how to secure your store. With that, congratulations on being security conscious. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for giving a thought to your store security, to your client's store security. If you are a developer or an agency, not a lot of people do that. And congratulations for standing out from that crowd. With that, see you in Astra Dashboard next. Over to you, Paul. And stay home, everyone. Stay safe. That's all I had. I'll just add all of these things in the chat below. And if you have absolutely any questions, I see that there were some questions in the chat section and in the question answer section. All of those I think are answered right now. If you have absolutely any questions, feel free to add all those questions. We are around for some more time. If you want to connect with us, you can do that. You can, I'm giving you the link to my LinkedIn, to Ankit's LinkedIn, and to our website. You can just come over to our website. We have host of blogs over there that will help you, or just go into the chat box and ask any question that you have. We'll be happy to help you. And yes, that's about it. Over to you, Paul.
Thank you. Let me share my screen then, because I also have something special for my guys, and then we can just probably go into the Q&A.
Sure. I'll just stop sharing the screen. Today seems like a really great day. There are tons of surprises all around.
So from our end, from MageCloud, and for all of the participants here, I'm also sharing some of the cool, coupon codes for the, probably who is in the Magento digital world. They know that all those names like HeadWorks, etc. Feel free to utilize those coupon codes and save money on the extension. Please don't publish them online. But just give it for your own needs. They will be also inside of the presentation. So guys, I have a kind of, if you don't mind, if I want to ask some specific question for the Get Astra, because all of the audiences who is not really online today, they probably will ask. So guys, let's imagine I have a Magento 2 store, right? To get started, let's say I went ahead and I created an account with the Get Astra. Do you have any Magento extension that needs to be installed? What, like, can you get a little bit more about this? Like,
yes.
Magento 1,
Yes.
Magento 2, right?
Yes, yes. So you got it exactly right. So what you need to do is it's just like a 5-minute process. You create an account, go into your Astra dashboard, and it will give you a unique extension for you that you can just download and install it in your store as you do like other extensions. It is also, it'll ask you for a version. It'll ask you which version you are on. If you're Magento 1 or 2, which of 1, which of 2. And accordingly, it'll give you an extension that you can download and just install it in your store.
Okay, cool. This extension for Magento 2 specifically, do you guys support 2.1, 2.2, 2.3?
Yes, we
Okay.
do.
Okay,
And the best
perfect.
part about this is if like for Astra customers, what we've done is for a lot of people, we've seen this problem is that suppose you buy an extension for Magento 1, 1.x, whatever, and you move on to 2, probably you may not have a support for, the same extension for 2, and you may need to pay it again, pay again for like probably a different extension or the same extension for a 2 version. Once you move on to a newer Magento version, we make sure that we cover you over there itself. So you don't have to pay again. You can seamlessly move from the older Magento extension to a newer extension.
Okay, perfect. Another question that I think will be very necessary for our audience to know. Like for example, in my case, when as an agency and all of my clients were utilizing Cloudflare, so basically our DNS, it's for the domain always pointed to the Cloudflare. You mentioned during our chat, like Sukuri, which is kind of the tool that you guys competing with. Sukuri required you to kind of point the DNS to them. You mentioned to me that with the Astra, it's a quite a little bit different way. So basically, you don't really need to. I don't really need to point my DNS to you guys. I still can, utilize Cloudflare in addition to the Get Astra. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that one?
Sure, definitely. So even before I do that, what I'm doing is for all of you, I'm dropping a link in chat. This will basically list down all the differences that Sukuri and Astra have, and I'll just tell you all of those. So as Paul correctly mentioned, Sukuri, what it does is it wants you to point your DNS to their servers. It is a reverse proxy solution. So what happens is all your traffic is first redirected to Sukuri, and from there it comes onto your servers. What that does is it has a chance to become a single point of failure. So if someday something happens on Sukuri server, I know they have fault tolerance and they have other tons of things to take care of it. But if something happens over there, you are gone, like without any fault of yours. Second, it also adds a certain amount of latency. They try and cover it with their CDN, but nonetheless, it adds a certain amount of latency. I think if you have Cloudflare on, like if you have Cloudflare with you, even the free version of Cloudflare, along with Astra, I think that is something that will get you sorted. I think you don't, as a store owner, you don't need anything more. Couple of best practices along file permissions, which you talked about, and free version of Cloudflare, which does the CDN if you want that. That's about it. Other than that, Astra is good enough for you. If you choose to go for Cloudflare for security, Cloudflare does not have malware scanning, so that also like hampers your experience. It's just a WAF, and that is also not a tailored WAF. So that's a very generic WAF. So that way, Astra is good to go with any like with probably the free version of Cloudflare if you want that. If not, that is also.
Sounds good, guys. Let's go ahead and go into the different questions and answers. I know that you answered them all in the chat, but for the visitors who will be watching this video in the future, let me just duplicate it a little bit. So are all of those suggestions part of the Astra? So basically, when you mentioned about like a different hacking stuff, etc., basically probably the question was, will Astra protect from all of those type of security, right?
Yes. So like most of the attacks that Ankit mentioned were say website redirection or credit card hack. Those are something that Astra protects from. Even the payment manipulation thing that you talked about, that is something that a security audit takes care of, and that is a part of Astra. So that is part of some of our plans. So that is something that end-to-end is taken care of.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, guys. Another question is about the Bing bots. So basically, from what I understand from that question is there is a website and it's being hit by the normal bots, but it's hit by pretty heavy. And to be quite honest, hitting closing the Bing bots, it's not really the good idea. Same as Google, right? So eventually, for all legit bots, basically there is a way to set up the crawler limit, and which you can define in a robots.txt file. So that's probably will be the best way to go. Aside from that, you can Google for known bots, and then you will see a lot of bots that's kind of not legit, like SEMrush, Ahrefs, there's a bunch of them. And basically you can probably want to protect your website against those bots as well. So just, pretty much like Google all unknown bots as well, and that's might be good stuff. Another question, if we'll be sending a list of suggestions, guys, the presentation, the video will be available on Astra website, on our website inside of the blog. Video we will load into the YouTube as soon as we finish. The next one is Astra extension design specifically for Magento. So guys, that's probably a question for you. Can you elaborate, this Astra extension, is it? Oh, we probably covered that already. So it's actually specifically for Magento. From what I understand, Get Astra, one of the questions that I have, imagine I have a domain, right? And I'm utilizing Magento as a store, and I also have a WordPress blog, right?
Yes.
From what I understand, WordPress sometimes WordPress get quite a bit of time, and if it's on the same server, I might have troubles with Magento through the blog that will be hacked. Can you elaborate a little bit about the WordPress? Just to how Astra are working with the WordPress those days?
Sure, that is a great question, and that is something that happens all the time. So when we say Astra is tailored for Magento, Astra comes as a Magento extension. Similarly, Astra has other offerings. So Astra comes as a tailored extension for Magento, as a different tailored plugin for WordPress, does most of the same things, as a different extension for OpenCart, as a different module for PrestaShop. So Astra covers almost all the LAMP stack. Anything PHP that you have, be it a custom website that you have created in, say, CodeIgniter or Laravel or Symfony or anything PHP, Astra has you covered. Astra has a unique, separate, tailored extension for all of these. So in case of a situation where you have a Magento store or any other store, and say a WordPress blog or even say a WordPress website, for that matter, what you can do is you can have Astra install for each of them. You will have Astra for each of that. So you need one Magento, one license per Magento installation. So even if you have, say, multi-store, for example, in Magento, you don't have to pay every time differently. But if you have different CMS, you can get different extensions and they work seamlessly with them. And we suggest everyone that if you have multiple CMS on the website, say a Magento store and a WordPress blog, you secure each of them, because WordPress is very nasty when it comes to hacks. Your WordPress will be hacked. Anyways, it's a question of not if it will be hacked, it's a question of when it will be hacked. So WordPress has this opportunity of, it's this thing about being hacked, and it will be hacked. If you have a blog, it will be hacked and it will then move over to your store, and you can't do anything about it. So you need to secure all the CMS installs that you have, be it WordPress, be it Magento, and Astra helps you with everything.
Sounds good, guys. So the next question, which is also kind of very important for my agents as well. I think you mentioned about a scanning tools for the third-party extensions. So basically, can you elaborate a little bit more on that for our visitors?
Okay, so could you give some more details, please, on scanning tool for third-party extensions? So I think Ankit would be a better person to answer this. Some of the tools that Ankit uses for pen test could be, so we use a mixture of Acunetics, Nessus tools, and a lot of in-house tools that we have built for a pen testing and for a scanning. Usually for third-party extensions, you may not have the code available for you, so you may want to get a security audit done for your store, so that the security researchers find all those vulnerabilities specifically about the tools, Ankit, like you could pitch in and add more on this.
Sure. So adding to what Ujjwal mentioned, that there'll be two types of scanning that we usually conduct, or that happens, is the source code scanning and the dynamic or the pen testing, right? So a source code scanning could be done by one of the free tools out there, is SonarQube. Okay, that's a source code analysis tool. So generally those are pumped into the Jenkins pipelines, and every time a code gets merged, it tests for vulnerabilities, or it basically does the linting for the code. And on the like DAST that we do, like dynamic analysis, is via that's some tools of like security researchers use, our Burp Suite, Nikto that we use for scanning. These both have automated scans as well.
All right, sounds good. I will also answer the question maybe in our article about this one and add some more stuff. So a couple more here. We're suggesting to enable Magento Memcache, reduce traffic. I'm not quite sure if Memcache reduce the traffic. Maybe I'm not in context. So if it's possible about that specific question, would be nice to take it offline. Because it's probably related to your personal Magento installation. So feel free to reach out to all of us and we can try to assist you. We just need to see the context of that type of stuff. Is there any proper security plugin for Magento to accept Sukuri? Well, guys, there's also some of the other security vendors that you can explore, which we actually mentioned in this webinar. So it would not be just, get Astra. So this is, what is the service agreement for the Astra for monthly or yearly plan? So I think you guys can take it offline, speak to Ankit, after this call, and that's probably would be the best. What's the baddest Magento hack you haven't seen? The baddest Magento hack I haven't seen is just the credit card information gets stolen, and I can tell you, even my credit card that I used on my customer website as a testing, it also was stolen, and $700 was taken. So that was the best Magento hack in my life. But again, that's why the question is, it's better to prevent it from happening rather than waiting till this happens. Do you have any statistics for open extension which got vulnerabilities like Headworks? That's a great question. I mean, guys, do you have any sort of a list? I know that you sent me, guys. You can go to the MagentoCloud.net. There is an article about some extensions that get hacked, and from what I understand, GetAstra guys, they also published a lot of information about different extensions and vulnerability that they found. But question to you guys from Astra: do you have a list of maybe you have a list of extensions and trouble, something that I easily get and see where's the problem?
So we don't make these lists public without, first we try and if we find any vulnerability in a third party extension, what we do is we contact the developers, we contact the plugin owners. So when you say you have any statistics for how often extensions got vulnerabilities, there's no statistic as such. I cannot say that, every 9 out of 10 extensions are vulnerable, but I have good confidence that every 7 or 8 out of 10 extensions have some or other kind of vulnerability. It may not be severe, but it has some or other kind of vulnerability. We don't make it public. We'll never do it the way that, we come on a webinar and say that, hey, what this extension by Headworks or anyone else is vulnerable. If while doing a security audit of any of these extensions or doing security audit of our customer's store, we find that some of these extensions are vulnerable, we follow the right channels and we report it to the devs there itself. And once we have reported it to them and they have patched it, then we take out a blog announcement about it. You can actually go on to our blogs at getastra.com/blog, and you can search for Magento extensions. You can search for vulnerable Magento extensions.
Yeah,
good blogs.
I think, guys, publishing information about issues inside of the specific extension, that's a little bit tricky, because if you will publish this online, then hackers can utilize this information. So don't get me wrong. We're still trying to prevent that from happening, but it's a lot of work done on the background. So basically, if we find out some issue, we'll definitely go ahead and we'll try to reach out to the original developer. I know if there's a very big breach in sort of extension that even Magento, I cannot find it very easily here, but sometimes even Magento announce about like the problems in the certain extension. Just recently, one of their extension, like a store finder or something like that, was a critical issue. And I pretty much kind of learned from Magento website about this, and we had to kind of notify our customers about like this issue. So, I mean, basically the takeaway from that is just to watch out, the industry news, watch out for the stuff that other developers saying, and that's probably will be the best way to go. The next question that I've seen here on our chat is about your Magento 2 extension. Guys, do you have any sort of, do you have a link to your Magento 2 extension? Because someone seems unable to find it on the Magento marketplace.
So on the Magento marketplace, you will see extensions only till version 1.9. We have a custom extension for 2.0, and that is available from our dashboard itself. So if you sign up like with 2.0 website, you will see the custom installer in our dashboard. We will soon be adding it to the store, so you'll soon see it in the store.
Okay.
Another thing I wanted to add to what Paul just said of being aware with the latest news and stuff. You also need to be safe. Like, it's better safe than be sorry. Recently, like a huge Magento store, I think all of you may have even used their products, was hacked. It was a huge store with over 1 million hits. So that was hacked. There was, again, MageCloud attacks have been on a rise these days. So you have to be better safe than sorry. A lot of times you will not know what are no one will know that the extension that thousands of or millions of people are using is vulnerable. You need to ensure that you are using security like tools to make sure that even if they're vulnerable, you are not exploited. For example, suppose if there's an extension X and that has a vulnerability that will allow an SQL injection, right? If you have a firewall in place, that firewall will block anyone doing that SQL from doing that SQL injection, even though there's a scope to do that. So you always need to have that layer in between to make sure that even if the underlying code is vulnerable, you are still safe to a great extent.
The last probably question for this webinar, it's will Astra auto clean the website?
Yeah. So the question says, does Astra's auto clean website option is very vulnerable code is shown? So just a quick thing, vulnerable code is different from like malware, right? So in the malware cleanup dashboard that I showed you, you will be able to see all the malware, the infected files, which can cause that vulnerability. You will see all those vulnerable files with the malicious code highlighted over there. So you can choose to fix it either using the dashboard, you'll see an option to delete it, or using your FTP. So Astra will show you the malicious code. The scanners part that I showed you, that is something that will take care of it.
So I think we pretty much covered quite a lot. If there's still questions remaining, guys, please feel free to contact us from Get Astra website, from MageCloud.net or MageCloud agency website, and we'll be happy to get this all answered. I think at this point, let me just tell very much, thank you very much, Ankit, as well, for your time for today. That was really useful content that I will share with all of our audience. Like, guys, go ahead. Can you repeat one more time what was the URL for their Get Astra /MageCloud?
Yeah, no. So I'll just tell you the URL. Just give me a second. The URL is astra.sh/MageCloud. I'll just drop the URL in the comments below, or in the chat box.
Astra.sh MageCloud.
Yes.
And the coupon code is Astra Love MageCloud as well.
MageCloud. So you need to create this account over here on the next page. Once you're done with creating this account, on the next page you will see a coupon code, a section to add the coupon code, and this is where you add this coupon.
Sounds good. So hopefully we'll at least give a lot of information about protection, etc. Astra loves MageCloud. I love it. And and like guys, hopefully you will still stay safe yourself those days, and hopefully your store also will stay safe. Thank you all for the time. Thank you so much for your patience and hopefully to hear you soon on our other webinars. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everyone. Hope you had a great time and we were able to answer some of your questions. Make sure that you add a lock to your e-store too.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. And don't, just connect back in case you have questions.
Goodbye.
Bye, guys.